All right, folks. A couple things right off the bat. Number one, I have not been following the Johnny Depp Amber Heard court case situation. It's just one of those things where you're gonna hear and see things about it, whether you're following it or not, because it seems like it's just been a daily trending topic on the same level of, Will Smith slapping Chris Rock pretty much like damn near a month ago at this point. But the reason I'm bringing this subject up in Sistas, and let me just say, while I will be making comparisons to Sistas, this is not a laughing matter. I did see a very great analysis video from a channel I always follow and look at for like comic book stuff, heavy spoilers, but they've been pretty consistent with doing pop culture things like, these court cases or the slap due to fans wanting opinions, but he doesn't give opinionated videos. He gives pretty much the facts, and I like that. So I did like a quick viewing of that video that was about 15 minutes long. So I wanted to bring up the fact that Jasmine should be brought back into Sistas, and they could do a similar storyline to the Amber and Johnny situation with Jasmine and Gary. And look, I know, Jeremy, you just want your girl back. It's not necessarily just that, even though it would be great to see Jasmine again, because I was just looking at some of the evidence and the claims made, and I'm like, wow, Jasmine, in the way her and Gary's dynamic was, there was some real Amber Heard vibes coming off of it, from the fact that Jasmine was making these allegations, keyword allegations, of Gary being abusive and, getting physical with her, and she would have bruises and whatnot, and that ruined his reputation to an extent for the likes of Andy and how she looked at him. And then you would have a bunch of other guys like, Ben, who told Andy that, hey, word on the street is this Gary character is bad news. And then come to find out, Morris, the guy that Jasmine was cheating on Gary with, he would get abusive with her when, he would, do coke and whatnot. And then Andy did research, and, after Morris tried to force himself on her, it turns out there are a number of other women who were in the same position as her. But then you had, and this was the point where I'm like, wait a minute, how is this a thing? Hashtag me poo, P-O-O. And I'm like, wait, is this just, a Me Too joke because of the whole, wow, that's when Amber Heard made the allegations on Johnny Depp, and then not long after Me Too happened, and then Johnny got dragged by the press and fans and whatnot. I could not believe this, but apparently there was a point in their, toxic marriage where Amber Heard got so angry that she literally pooped on her side of the bed. That reminded me of when Jasmine, I think this was when, she had pretty much pulled a Fatima and wrecked and just destroyed Gary's car with a bat, and then of course eventually set it on fire. But she was just ranting and raving about how, Morris, he's a better lover than you, he's bigger than you. All those times you would come home, saying you were coming from the gym, and then you would climb back into bed, you were on your side of the bed, and you know what, I didn't change the sheets, you were sleeping in Morris's dry bodily fluids. And I'm like, damn. And I feel like there are a number of other comparisons that could be made, but I just wanted to say that typically, Tyler Perry sometimes, kind of like The Simpsons, predicts the future before it happens. And I think one other situation that comes to light was Larry, I think, when Eddie, drove his car into Larry, and he was kind of stuck between his vehicle and Eddie's truck, and Larry was like, I can't breathe. And I'm like, damn, because obviously Tyler films these things well in advance. And keep in mind, as soon as Larry was like, I can't breathe, that kind of invoked the whole George Floyd, I can't breathe, because you have a police officer, assaulting a black man, and he's saying, I can't breathe. So when you look at Sistas, I'm talking like, 2019, early 2020, when those episodes of Jasmine making allegations and going off on Gary came out. And here we are in 2022, and a bunch of things coming out to light about a woman who made false allegations against her husband, really indicating the importance of recording things and keeping and screenshotting text messages, having witnesses. again, really goes back to the Jasmine storyline, you know, like Leslie being the PI and whatnot and getting all this information. That's why I said way back in season 1 there should have been a Jasmine spinoff, but hell, you know, and who listens to me? Well, I guess there are people that listen to me given recent events about Sistas' date changing, but whatever. So I really do think that overall, it would be an interesting dynamic for Jasmine to come back and, you know, she's either put on trial because she's in jail, so they could definitely do something along those lines, you know, like where Gary or even Andy go to court and put this away to, you know, for good, you know, put her away for good. Hopefully I get locked up with her. But I just feel like it would be an interesting thing where Tyler Perry reflects real life in his writing, which he does, and I feel like the material is there. This, to me, would be a great way of reigniting interest in the Gary and Andy storyline. I'm not saying Gary and Andy need to be together. I don't want them together. But this would be a way of making them relevant again as opposed to just Andy doing the same old shit. I'm just ready for a change in the dynamic, not just with Zach and Fatima and Karen being tacked on due to the whole I'm carrying Zach's child. I want to see things taken to a new level. I mean, given that, you know, Andy's a lawyer. She's what, like a partner at the firm now. I don't really feel like we explore that element of her life anymore on the show. It's all Gary or it's all nothing. So with that being said, what do you think? Do you think there are some interesting parallels between Amber and Johnny and Jasmine and Gary? Also, let's take it in, way back to the haves and the have-nots when it turned out that Celine was in an affair with Jim, you know, who was running for governor, and they have kids together in the same way Arnold Schwarzenegger and his maid, you know, had an affair and I believe have a child together. So you just never know, folks. It's very interesting how Tyler Perry does these things. But like I said before, this isn't me crying out for Jasmine to come back because I love her and I want her back and all this and that. I'm just saying from a serious point of pop culture relevancy, as this court case is, if there is like a Sister season 6, I think the storyline should happen somewhere down the line because, you know, it seems like Jasmine was unceremoniously written off when Andy told Karen about how this whole lawsuit crap is nothing that can't be handled in court. There's no grounds for it to stand on. It's done. That's it. So thanks so much for tuning in. Hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. Hit subscribe and hit the bell icon and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post content on the channel.